Hello, welcome back. In this chapter we will analyze the main line of the Italian game, which comes after black's moves h6 and bishop a6 connected with rook e8. His idea is to exchange light squared bishop and to play d5. After h6, white plays knight bd2 and rook e8. He can start with bishop e6, knight f1. And now usually rook e8 transposes to the main line, but sometimes black can play immediately bishop takes b3, queen b3 and rook b8. Instead of rook b8, if he tries queen d7, bishop a3, rook e8, now it's interesting for white to follow one correspondent game where white won very convincingly. Bishop takes a7, rook a7, queen c2. White is not in hurry to develop his knight on e3 or g3, he wants to have both options available. Queen c2, a5. Black is gaining space on the queen side, but white is prepared to play in the center. Rook d1, a4, d4. Now already white is better, clearly better, and it's very nice to see how white won this game. Rook a6, knight g3. He's threatening to jump on f5, g6 and queen c1. Now the pawn on h6 is hanging, black plays h5, and now white simplifies things. D takes e5, knight takes e5, knight e5, rook e5, f4. And the next move is e5. Black goes rook e7, e5, knight e8. And now very strong move again for white, f5, with the idea of f6 and creating mating trees for black king. Black here play h4, and after f6, rook e6, knight f5. He resigned because white has so many threats connected with the attack on the king. This was move queen d7, and black can play rook b8, but this is not changing too much. After bishop e3, knight e3, queen d7, white would play rook d1, and later his idea is to play queen c2 and d4. And possibly even knight f5. He has a small advantage here. So let's go back to the main line. After knight bd2, rook e8, knight f1, bishop e6, knight g3, bishop b3. If black plays now move d5, white takes d5, bishop takes d5. If black plays knight d5, then knight h5. White starts to attack on the king side, and he's threatening to take pawn on e5 because now knight f6 is covered, and I just don't want to forget to mention that knight e5 here is not possible. In view knight e5, rook e5, bishop f2, king f2, queen f6, and this is a typical motive in Italian, and it works for black if the white knight is on b1 or g3, and if white knight is, for example, on d2, then he could play knight f3. After knight h5, black defends pawn queen d6, queen d2. Now white wants to take knight g7, and after queen h6, knight g5, he's trying to mate black king. So bishop f4, knight h4, bishop a6, knight g7, king g7, queen h6, king g8, queen g5, and well, black is in some serious problems because after king f8, d4, now white opens up position. Black cannot take this because he is losing immediately. After bishop d5, queen d5, queen f6, and the next move is bishop h6. As we can see, the things can become nasty for black very quickly. That's why after e takes d5, bishop d5 is more solid option. Bishop c2. White wants to play queen e2, bishop e3 and rook d1, slowly improve his position. Black plays queen d7, now knight h4, because queen is no longer on d8 h4 diagonal, this move is possible. Rook a d8, knight f5, bishop e6, queen f3, and here already white has some serious threats taken on h6, and it's not easy for black and to see how he can continue. After knight g3, the best move is bishop takes b3, queen takes b3. In case of a takes b3, then d5 is strong, because now after e takes d5, black just plays queen d5 and later rook d8, and already here he has a more pleasant position. After d5, best for white is to play queen e2, but queen d7 and black is okay. Queen b3, queen d7, this pawn cannot be taken because of rook b8, and after queen a6, bishop f2, white loses the queen. Bishop also after queen b7, bishop b6 is possible as well. So queen d7, bishop e3, bishop takes e3, rook e3. We have already seen this type of position. White wants to play d4, later maybe knight f5, put rook on d1 or e1, and he has a slightly better position, but black is very solid, and this is probably the best line for black, but he is still suffering a little bit. Rook takes e3, d5. In case of knight e7, white can play d4, knight g6, rook d1, after queen c6, queen c2, and he controls the center and he has a small advantage. Rook e3, d5. Now white has a couple of options, and I've chosen to play rook a e1, move which forces black to take on e4. After d takes e4, knight takes e4, knight e4, rook e4, this pawn is hanging, and this pawn on b7 is also hanging. Black plays b6, and now in case white goes knight e5, knight takes e5, rook e5, rook e5, rook e5, queen d3, we have entered the complete wrong position, because rook e7 double attack is not that strong. After queen b1, king h2, queen f5, and white cannot take pawn on c7 in view of queen f4. That's why after b6, the best move for white is rook to e3. And now he asks black what he will do, because white has some useful moves like queen c4 or even queen a4, and later d4. Black can play rook d8, queen a4, attacking the a6 pawn. a5, queen c4. Now white already threatens to play d4, that's why black needs to play queen d5, queen takes d5, rook d5, d4, f6, and it looks like black is okay, but I still believe that white position is slightly more preferable. It will be hard for white to win this game, but white is certainly one who has no risks in this game. g4, king f7 and king g2. Still black has some problems with this e5 pawn, and black needs to be very careful, because the pawn endgame can be easily lost for him. In the final position, white is slightly better, but black should hold this game. Nevertheless, I think playing with black pieces this kind of position is no fun at all, and only white can enjoy it. This was the main line, and thank you for watching.